Oh good, I got the makeup laugh. Are you ready for me? Yes. This is going out to TV land. Hi Johnny, hi Becky. All right. Does anybody know who Hobo Kelly is? Hobo Kelly was like my bozo growing up. It was a woman, and she was a clown, but she was a hobo. And she'd put on these big sunglasses, and then she'd look out in TV land and say hi to the children. Hi Johnny, hi Becky, hi Mary. She never said my name. I watched every single day, but she never said my name. That explains the dresses and combat boots. Okay, so that got the laugh. I never know. You never know what's funny until you just throw it out there. I was performing Don't Touch Me Anymore at a church in California. And when I was singing the end part of the sexual abuse song, and I was saying, in God Loves You, Though I Don't Know Why, all the women started laughing. And the more I kept saying it, because I say it 4 times, and they were laughing and laughing like it was like this big punchline. And I sat there and I went, I did not know this was funny. So you just never know. So, two really weird things happened on the night Jesus was arrested. 2 really weird things happened. And I was trying to decide which one's the weirdest and which one I should start with, so I'm just going to go in chronological order and just let you guys sift it and sort it. But when Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, I've been practicing. I know all the words to Jesus Christ Superstar. I can say Gethsemane, except when I have to, in front of a room full of people. Anyways, when Jesus was in the garden and they came to arrest him, you got to picture this. I do, like when I read stuff, I have a movie going in my head, but it's guards and soldiers and stuff coming with, knives and spears and anger and authority, and we're going to go do this once and for all. And if you watch any of the show that's on TV right now about Bible times, everything was under the threat of violence. If you screw this up, we're going to kill you. So they were coming to arrest Jesus, and they totally knew who he was, right? He'd already reached superstar status, so they already knew which guy in the group was Jesus. And so when they got there and they said, which one of you is Jesus? And he said, I am he. You have the only clear-cut moment in the entire Bible where people are slain in the Spirit. Go Google, when in the Bible are people slain in the Spirit? 5 instances come up. I'm not going to take your time tonight to explain to you why 4 don't count. You'll be able to read it with your own eyes, and it makes perfect sense what I'm saying. Only 1 instance in the Bible do people experience the power of God and go, whoa, onto their backs. When they all come to arrest Jesus, they all get slain in the Spirit. Anyone ever been in a church where someone was slain in the Spirit? Anyone ever see it on TV? Anyone ever not? Come on. It takes a long time for people to come back. So this huge group of people come to arrest Jesus, and he goes, hello, and then they go down. I'll wait. I'll wait till you all are done being slain in the Spirit for you to arrest me and take me off and beat me and kill me. Now, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I guess I'm having fun with it, but the reality is obviously he could have left, but he had to wait. So let's just, for fun, say they all went down and then got up. They all went down. They all went down. They go boom. They all went down. Honey, how was your day at work? Well, it was the weirdest thing. We went to arrest Jesus, and you'll never believe what happened until you hear what happens next. Until you hear what happens next. So, they all get slain in the Spirit. After, however long it takes, for however many there were. Let's just say there was a dozen men went down. However long it takes for a dozen men to get slain in the spirit, come to their senses, realize where they are, get up and get back into mode. We're here to arrest Jesus. You just got slain in the spirit because he talked to you. That's all. Kind of hard to pretend that didn't happen. But that's what happened. So they get up, they gather around him, and they're going to take him. And Peter grabs a sword and he slices off the ear of one of them. How was your day at work, dear? Well, you'll never believe what happened. It was crazy. And Jesus says, no, this is not how we behave. So he walks over to the gentleman whose ear has been sliced off completely. And he puts his hand on it, and a new ear grows back. And so how was your day at work, honey? Well, it was really weird because we went to arrest Jesus, and then we all fell down, and we were in the spirit, and we knew everything from God, and then we finally got up. It was so nice of him to wait. And he actually helped me up. And after he helped me up, this crazy guy comes at me with a sword and he chops off my ear. But it's okay because I got a new one. That Jesus guy who we arrested gave me a new ear. So you guys, realized he was God and let him go and called it? Oh, no. We had to do what we were there to do or something bad would happen to us. Really? Because last time I heard you got slain in the spirit and you got your ear cut off. And Jesus put it back like Mr. Potato Head. You're laughing because it's not a joke. That's why that's funny. There's no difference. It's like, oh, Mr. Potato Head needs ear. Let's stick this on. Put a nose there, put a mustache. I used to stick dum-dum lollipops. Okay, we won't go there. But you say potato head, I say potato head, you know. But seriously, this is a weird story. My Bible is not boring. My Bible is funny. This is crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff. This is the kind of stuff we should be doing in Sunday school for kids. We should give them centurion dolls that the ears come off. And then they get to play Jesus and restore the ears. And they pop out when you poke a button. A new ear comes back. How do these people not admit from that second forward that they just met the true and living God? How is that possible? How is that possible? You know what my answer to that is? Who cares? Who cares? Losers. Whatever. Whatever influence, whatever deception, whatever. My Bible says the bottom line is every single human being already knows exactly who God is and who Christ is. That this is all common knowledge. When someone tells someone about Jesus for the first time, it is not the first time they've heard it. That's the answer to, well, what happens to the people in the rainforest if the gospel never gets there? That's the answer. My Bible says it's already in us and we already know it. I sleep really good at night as an evangelist on that point. Seriously. I've done this for 32 years. And if you get caught up, if I were to get caught up in how many people received the Lord tonight at church, I would kill myself. It's how many people admit to what they already know because God has slain them in the spirit and restored their ear. That's really what evangelism is. Evangelism in the Bible, by the way, wasn't reaching new souls. The evangelists in Bible days were people who came in and revived the church. Revived the church. It's great I go out and tell people about Jesus. It's better if I get 100 people to go out and tell people about Jesus. But they have to admit who he is. And Christians never admit to who he is. Never. Well, what do you mean, Paisley? Well, I'm glad you asked, Paisley. They don't admit because if they did, they would have to comply. They would have to comply. But wait a minute. We've accepted the Lord and we tithe and we go to church and we read our Bibles and we believe and we tell people about Jesus. That's wonderful. It's just not everything. It's not everything. What about the fact that he slayed them in the spirit and he made an ear come back? Is that Jesus operating in your life or not? It's that simple. Well, that was for... No, that's not true. There's nothing in the Bible that says what happened in the Bible is only for Bible times about anything. Anything. Except what Jesus said about fulfilling the law and setting a new standard for law. Everything else about what God does is forever. Forever. So God, the miracle, is forever. And are we experiencing miracles in our lives if we are said Christians? And in a room like this, there's always going to be mixed. It's always going to be mixed as far as what people's beliefs are and faith is and so forth. And I hope by now everyone understands they're walking into a Christian environment and I'm preaching a Christian gospel to Christians mainly. If we really believe that Jesus could restore our ear, what would we believe differently about our problems, about our health concerns, just about ourselves? More so, what would we really believe about him and his nature and who he is and what he's capable of? Before I started this particular ministry, a little over 10 years ago, I was working as a school teacher. And I was failing as a school teacher. And I tried, man, I really tried. But thank God I had another job waiting for me, that's all I can say. I loved it, but man, I sucked at it. I've admitted it for the whole world to hear. But first couple years of teaching are very rough, and I never got past the initial first years to become good at it. So I still live in horror and guilt that tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and this was a dream and that's still happening. We had a day where there was no school, but we had to be there for a teacher's meeting. And one of the teachers brought a friend's baby. Which was great, because babies rock, and they make even teachers' meeting a little bit more tolerable. And so we had this cute little baby. It looked like it had just been born like that day. It was puny, and it was just perfection. And so anyway, so we're there, and after the teachers' meeting, people went to their classrooms to take the new materials and stuff we'd gotten and put them up in our rooms and things like that. And as usual, I was called into the administrator's office to get yelled at for something, because that happened every single day I went to school when I was a kid and as an adult as a teacher. So I was in the administrator's office getting yelled at when another administrator who hated me even more than this administrator came in and said, "Paisley, we need you right now." And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm getting yelled at right now. You're going to have to yell at me later." And she goes, "No, this isn't a joke. We need you right now. You have to come right now." And the administrator that was yelling at me said, "Okay, you can go." And I was like, what's going on here? Why is she going along with this? And I went, "Oh, cool, maybe they're going to be nice to me today. Maybe they have a cake. You know, let's be nice to Paisley Day." So I went to where she brought me, and it was in one of the rooms, and everyone was gathered around in total silence, around a table, in total silence. And when I got up to the table, I saw what was on the table. It was that baby. It had stopped breathing. And I never talk about this. I never talk about this. And I thought I'd be fine, but it's very hard to do this. Very hard to do this. for so many reasons, obvious and not obvious. But this baby was blue. Purple is more the color I would call it. And I walked in and I said, why am I here? And one of them said, you're a Christian and you're a minister and you can pray and everything's going to be okay. I go, did you people call 911? And they're like, they're not here yet. And the art teacher was performing CPR and mouth to mouth, but it wasn't working. Nothing was happening. And I looked at them and I remember that this was a Christian charter school that I worked at, and the majority of the people in the room were Christians. And anyone who's been around my ministry long enough knows that my appearance of arrogance is confidence, and that I am convinced that I'm doing the bare minimum that anyone who claims to be a Christian should be doing with their lives. And there's absolutely nothing I can do in the spiritual realm that any other believer can or can't do. It's not true. I'm not special. I'm just obedient. And if that makes me special, then I'm damn special. That I'm not special because I can do something you can't do. And I remember the first thing that came out of my mouth was I said, and I'll say it in a different way than I said it because there's young people in the room. I said, I'm in a room full of Christians. Why couldn't any of you people do this? And I walked over and I put my hands on said baby. This is not something you want to ever experience. This is not something you ever want to see, and this is not something you ever want to feel with your bare fingers. Unbelievable. Felt like an ice pack. A hard ice pack. I prayed in the Spirit over the baby, and I said, be alive in Jesus' name, and the baby coughed in front of a room full of people. And then I took my hands off, and I said, I hate every one of you so much right now. And I stormed out of the room, and I went to my car, and I cried until I was okay enough to drive home. Then I quit my job and started this ministry. That's what happened. Not one person ever thanked me. Not one person ever acknowledged what happened in that room. Not one person ever came up to me and said, are you okay? But, you know, I still know a lot of these people to this day. And all I kept thinking about was when Jesus healed all the lepers and only one came back. And Jesus wasn't looking for a compliment. I sure as hell didn't want a compliment. I was so beyond a compliment on this. And anyone who knows me knows I don't like talking about things like this because this leads to, ooh, Paisley can heal people. Paisley can raise the dead, you know? And it was just amazing how you can restore the ear and they still arrest you. They still arrest you. Jesus is a joke. Even when there's a dead baby on the table that comes back to life. That's all. That's all. I've played this out in my head quite a few times over the years, and I've always wondered if a day would come where this was ever a good day for me. Wherever I said, yeah, that was kind of a neat day. That was kind of a neat day. Did I mention no one should ever see or feel what I saw and felt? To add to what's happened in my life over the last 2 years, obviously there's so much obvious to this story. And if you're wondering, you bet I tried. You bet I tried. I brought one back, but I didn't bring mine back. Which is pretty much what I walked away with. Was, if I hadn't been there, they were just leaving this thing just dead. No one was even trying. They thought, they had the presence of mind to get weirdo Paisley. But they didn't have the presence of mind to walk over and try themselves. I didn't do anything. I don't possess some special gift. If it did, it would have worked on my son, but it didn't, did it? And everyone can conceptualize and spiritualize, well, maybe God really wanted to kickstart your ministry. You know what? I've been in ministry forever. All God had to do is say, hey, why don't you go do this? And I would have packed and gone. This was not about me. This was not about me. God, it's so weird. It was not about me whatsoever. This was a witness to the people in the room. You know, to the people who knew Jesus, you should be doing this. The people who didn't, you should know the power that can do this. And look at the end result. I hated everyone and wanted to get away from them. I was like, I'm done. I don't want to be around any of you again. I was like, I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. When I first received the Lord, I took everything very serious. I took everything to heart. I believed everything. And I said, if you're ever going to raise the dead, I want to be the one to do it. I'd do it again, but I don't think I'd request it. And in all fairness, my son notwithstanding, thank God it was a baby and not a human. You know, not someone who'd come back and tell a story of what that was like, because that pretty much would have been the end of the day for me. I had all I can take. And all I thought about was this poor mother who's not even there, the phone call she's going to get. And I was there when she got the phone call. I was there when they called her and told her that the baby was being taken to the hospital. I was there. I heard the story of what happened to that baby and how the CPR and mouth-to-mouth brought the baby back. I heard that story. I was standing there when it was told. And I said, you all can tell whatever story you want, but it doesn't change the truth. And that's the problem with these stories, is you tell a story about something amazing you did for God, and you get people in the room that go, oh my gosh, he's so amazing, which bothers me. Or you get people in the room that go, yeah, whatever, you know, that didn't happen. You know what, I don't even care. Let's just say I'm telling the truth. Like, I really care if anyone believes it or not. I was there for it. I was present. It was my hands, these puppies. I didn't blink. I walked in and it was like there's a mess on the floor and no one's cleaning it up. You just grab a towel and wipe it. That was it. That was entirely my experience with it. Entirely. Not one thing ran through my head about, look at me, you know. I'm the one that can do, I'm the prophet, you know. No, it was just the opposite. I was like, this is going to be so weird coming back to work on Monday with these people after doing this. And I spoke in tongues in front of them too, you know. I was like, it was all really weird. I was like, God, this is not the day I want to have. So I go home from work and someone says, how was your day, honey? And I say, well, you'll never believe what happened at work today. There was a dead baby on a table at school. And everyone was standing around watching and picking their nose and going, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And so, let's get Paisley. Let's get Jesus. Let's get Jesus. It did not take a dead baby for me to understand the call of God in my life. This was not a turning point. This wasn't the light bulb moment. This was the last straw. That's what it felt like. My reaction to it was, I'm so sick of people not wiping up spills, I'm going to drop what I'm doing and all I'm going to do is wipe up spills. That's really how it felt. Someone's got to get out and just do the work. Someone's just got to get out and meet people. Someone's just got to get out and do something that draws attention so they can share the gospel with people. So if this ever happens in their life, they know what to do. It's like someone used to teach CPR. You all obviously don't know CPR, I'll teach it. You know, it's just silly. My experience with Jesus has always been like that. Since the first day, it's always been like that. Always been like that. That I totally got who he was and understood his power and authority in every situation. I can't help it. I didn't manufacture it, that's for sure. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a follower of any kind. No one's going to talk me into something. And that's been my experience. And my experience is that with that knowledge comes a tremendous amount of responsibility. A tremendous amount of responsibility. If I admit that I was slain in the spirit when I went to arrest Jesus, if I admit that he, my ear got cut off and Jesus gave me a new one like Mr. Potato Head, then I have to admit that he's God. And if I admit that he's God, I have to make him Lord. And Lord means he gets the final say in everything. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Try spending a decade of your life telling people the reason why you wear dresses and combat boots is because God told you to do it. Try selling that. It'd be easier to sell that I brought a baby back from the dead. I've tried not to sell either. Because I really don't care. It's never crossed my mind that it mattered that anyone believe me. It never, I just don't care. It would be easier. It would be so much easier if everyone just heard me and go, God, he's so sincere, I believe him. It'd be so much easier, but I don't care. It's irrelevant, because if I stop and worry about who's believing my report, then I'll stop giving it. And besides, the same Bible that told me that I would raise the dead, and the same Bible that says if Jesus wants and you get your ear cut off, you can make a new one, grow back like Mr. Potato Head, says that every single human being already knows all this. Every single human being is created with the understanding of who Jesus is. Everything on earth, every animal, every plant, everything understands who the Lord is. Gosh, we don't say that enough in church. It's just actually the opposite. Instead of me telling you who Jesus is and why you need to do this, 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 and this to go to heaven one day, why don't I tell you, yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything. You already know it. You're a bunch of know-it-alls. And you already know it. So shame on you if you pretend you don't know it, but you already know it. You know exactly what the truth is. And one day, you're going to be eye to eye with that truth. And that truth's going to look you in the eye and say, I don't know you, but all along you knew me. All along you knew me. The way I come up with sermons is very simple. Just like opening up the fridge and whatever looks yummy, that's what I do. I listen to the Bible in my car all the time, and then when something comes up, I go, ooh, that sounds like something fun to whip up for the group. And obviously, when I heard, the recount of this amazing story, this is one of my favorites. Like if I want to repeat sermons, the same sermon every year, this is the one. I love the Mr. Potato Head sermon. It's my favorite. Because everyone gets that the second you say it. It's so tactile that you go, God, that's so true. I never thought of that, but it's so true. I just think it's funny that the first time I heard it in church and I said Mr. Potato Head, nobody thought that was funny. But what's so funny is that it is funny. But more than that, it's simple. It's obvious. But when I was preparing, which means doing nothing, to be honest, not really praying, not really meditating, periodically thinking about tonight, and then I realized that God was calling me to tell the baby story. Then I was like, oh, well, that's not funny. That's not funny anymore. I hate that story. I hate telling that story. But it's what matters. It's because everybody got a dead baby somewhere. Everybody has something in their life that will